Huang. It's Wednesday, April 2nd. On today's show, we talk to students about what they want to see in the next USC president. We discuss whether the Nintendo Switch 2 is too expensive, and we talk about actor Val Kilmer's legacy. All that and more from where we are.
But first, today's headlines.
President Donald Trump announced new tariffs today, which he is calling Liberation Day. Trump said these implementations signify, quote, one of the most important days in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. These tariffs include a 10% baseline tariff for all U.S. trading partners, which will go into effect on April 5th. He also announced reciprocal tariffs for imports on 60 countries, which will go into effect on April 9th. According to Trump, these reciprocal tariffs, quote, mean they do it to us and we do it to them. These tariffs are in addition to the ones already placed on Mexico and Canada earlier in the year. Economists say that prices of many products will increase for American consumers on top of the already currently inflated prices. Trump said these tariffs will, quote, make America wealthy again.
Liberal candidate Susan Crawford beat Republican candidate Brad Schimmel for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court in a race that broke spending records and maintained a liberal majority on the court. Voter turnout was remarkably high, with 2.3 million voters this year compared to 1.8 million in 2023. Crawford won despite Schimmel receiving $25 million in campaign support. Schimmel ran on his loyalty to President Donald Trump, and aside from pouring money into the campaign, Musk personally campaigned in Wisconsin and even wore a classic Wisconsin cheesehead. Crawford held a lead in the race of about 9 points. Crawford was backed by the Democratic Party of Wisconsin and the Democratic National Committee and fundraised $17 million. In her victory speech on Tuesday night, Crawford said that, quote, today, Wisconsinites fended off an unprecedented attack on our democracy, our fair elections, and our Supreme Court. Wisconsin stood up and said loudly that justice does not have a price. Our courts are not for sale.
CinemaCon is currently underway in Las Vegas, and we already got a whole host of major movie headlines over the past few days. For fans of Spider-Man, we got major news involving both major film franchises. As part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Spider-Man Brand New Day will be the fourth installment in Tom Holland's Spider-Man series, offering a fresh start for the character directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Meanwhile, Beyond the Spider-Verse finally gets a new release date set for June 4th, 2027, 4 years after the last installment. 4 Beatles movies, one for each member, directed by Sam Mendes, has been announced, starring Joseph Quinn as George Harrison, Harris Dickinson as John Lennon, Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney, and Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr. Marketed as the first bingeable movie experience, they are all slated to release in April 2028. In the world of the high table, John Wick might be coming back to life, as John Wick 5 has been confirmed, alongside an animated prequel directed by Shannon Tyndall of Ultraman Rising and Kubo and the Two Strings fame. On top of that, Donnie Yen will direct a movie featuring his own character, Kane.
Today, USC women's basketball star Juju Watkins was named the 2025 Naismith Women's College Player of the Year. The 19-year-old sophomore holds the 4th highest scoring average in Division I women's college basketball. USC made it to the Final 8, but lost against UConn without Watkins, as the Player of the Year winner suffered a season-ending ACL tear in the second round of the tournament. Watkins is the first USC player to win this award since Lisa Leslie in 1994.
USC's oldest sketch comedy troupe, The Suspenders, is getting ready for their end-of-the-semester show weekend. These student comics and writers wear matching uniforms featuring cyan Converse sneakers and, very fitting to their name, suspenders. This semester's show theme is Sketch and the City. Tickets are now live, and the show will run from Thursday, April 3rd to Sunday, April 6th at the Brain and Creativity Institute. Get your tickets for lots of laughs in the Big Apple.
But it seems like trees might be worth a try. So I say, let it grow.
In honor of Earth Day and Arbor Day this month, USC's assignment, Earth is running a new poll. Students can vote for a type of tree they want to see on campus, and the winner will actually be planted. April Aguilera has the story.
During her second time on USC's campus, incoming Annenberg Master's student Brianna Greenberg noticed a purplish-pinkish tree.
So I don't know what they are, but there's some like purplish, pinkish little trees in front of the Bing Theater that I think are really, really pretty.
The month of April marks the celebration of Earth and Arbor Day, which falls on April 25th, and is focused on tree planting and conservation. In order to celebrate the beauty of green on the campus, the USC Sustainability's Hub assignment Earth is having a poll where students can vote on which trees they would like to see more of on campus. Around USC, students are currently loving the green areas. Natalie Heller, a sophomore majoring in environmental studies, said,
We have a lot of green spaces comparative to where we are in LA.
Alice Fung, a senior majoring in health and human sciences studying in front of DMC, noticed the pink and blossom flowers in the bushes.
In comparison to other campuses, I feel like there's a lot of green space around for people to hang out on.
For Ronnie Caledon, a third year studying accounting, there's a particular hill on campus that stands out to him.
The ones on McCarthy Quad where people put their hammocks, those are cool to sit under.
Catherine Hodges, a senior studying human biology, enjoys the courtyard area near the Thornton Music School.
Always liked them for my entire time here.
In light of the tree contest, students like Heller and Caledon are wanting to see new trees on campus.
I've always wished to have a cherry blossom tree on campus. Not sure if it's very attainable, but that would be cool.
Caledon agrees.
I'm not sure if we have it, but I think it'd be cool if we had some super old historic tree.
Ming-Cho Zhao, an international master's student in electrical engineering from China, would really love to see more of the iconic California palm trees on campus.
I come from China, so in my city it's really hard to see the palm trees. And if in California, palm trees is also the symbol of California. So when I see the palm trees, oh wow, that's California.
Feng, who was studying near DMC, wants more greenery with convenience.
Granted, some of them are blocked off, like this one on Alumni Park, I think. So I think having them be more open and accessible is just a better thing, because that's the point of green space.
Students can input their opinion on what trees they would like to see using the link below. Voting ends on Arbor Day, April 25th, 2025. Get in your votes before then. For Annenberg Media, I'm April Aguilera.
The next USC president is not Rick Caruso, contrary to a certain prank email sent out to every student last night. But USC is seeking student feedback for what they want to see in the next head of the university. Lauren Tonsich has the story.
Last night, USC students received an email announcing the next USC president will be Rick Caruso. Caruso, known for owning and developing important places including the Grove, Calabasas Commons, and the USC Caruso Catholic Center, is also a USC trustee. However, this email turned out to be an April Fool's prank from the USC satire magazine, Sack of Troy. Students had varied reactions to this email. USC officials then sent out an email asking for students' input on who they want as the next USC president. That was not a prank. I went around campus to find out what students are looking for.
If it's someone well-known, I hope it's someone who's a good person and who's known for good things. Probably not someone who's controversial. I don't think that'd be a good idea.
That was Audrey Reiser, a sophomore journalism major who doesn't mind someone well-known. However, on the other hand, John Kane, a sophomore communications major, is not looking for a celebrity, but someone who is right for the job.
I would want someone who's qualified, I guess would be my number one indicator. I don't care if someone has a big name or is famous, but I'd want someone who could do the job well and maybe have some financial experience, because that's one of the biggest roles of president.
Maura King, a sophomore data science major, cares more about maintaining the pride of USC.
I don't think fame matters. I think one of the special things about USC is how tight our alumni and student body is. We have a lot of pride. So I think finding a president that could balance the technical stuff like financials and also the social aspect of USC would be great.
Beyond Kim, the university's general counsel has been named as interim president starting July 1st, 2025. The next USC president will be tasked with implementing the school's redesign of DEI initiatives, rebuilding trust, and managing budget cuts. For Annenberg Media, I'm Lauren Tonsich.
I'm Sophia Ketterer. We're glad you're with us for From Where We Are.
And I'm Ethan Huang. It's 31 minutes past the hour. Coming up, the Yankees' new Torpedo bats and the new Nintendo console nearly a decade in the making.
Inside, you build your walls but can't forget.
The MLB season kicked off last week, and the New York Yankees are already off to a record-smashing start. Part of that, their new torpedo-shaped bats. Nicholas Corral has the story.
Goldschmidt swings at the first pitch and lofts it to left center field and deep. Mitchell back, track, wall, see ya! There's a leadoff hitter, 1-0 Yanks.
That is the sound of first baseman Paul Goldschmidt hitting a leadoff home run for the New York Yankees against the Milwaukee Brewers on Sunday. This is one of a record-tying 15 home runs that a Yankees player has hit in the team's first 3 games of the 2025 season. One potential cause? Torpedo bats. A typical bat is an even cylinder along the barrel, and batters can hit anywhere along that surface. The torpedo bat is instead wider, where players make the most frequent contact with the baseball. It redistributes weight from the tip of the bat to where players make contact, but it also means each bat has to be custom designed for the player's specific swing. To the naked eye, the bat appears wider, but MLB confirmed on Sunday that the bats are legal under current rules. Thomas Johnson, Annenberg Media's managing sports editor, questions whether the new bats change the sport to rely too heavily on technology.
Athletes want to have the best possible opportunity to do the best they possibly can, but when it becomes technology that's doing it for them, what's the difference between a robot hitting a home run and a human being hitting a home run?
MLB.com and ESPN have reported that other teams' batters have been seen with torpedo bats since, and even a few instances before then, but none as frequently as the Yankees on Sunday. The novel bats are still the talk of players, fans, and analysts around the league. Johnson believes, regardless of the amount of usage, the bats will indeed change the game.
No matter what, it's definitely going to have an effect on the game. I could see it being good. More home runs, more fans get excited about it. Could also see it on the inverse, it being bad. Fans are like, another home run. Cool. What's the game now? We're just going to hit home runs. Every 9 batters can hit 1 home run with these torpedo bats. I think it's probably the latter is what's going to happen.
Another controversial tactic, meanwhile, this time in the NFL, got a reprieve this week. NFL owners voted yesterday to table a vote to ban the tush push. In the tush push, players line up behind the quarterback to push them forward and try to gain the necessary yardage. The move was popularized by the Philadelphia Eagles, who were the winners of this year's Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers proposed the ban in late February. Despite calls in both leagues to reevaluate the practices, Johnson sees the tush push as different than the bats.
The tush push is people doing something with a strategy. Torpedo bats is technology doing something because it's a good technology. And so sports people want to see athletic performances.
Tabling the ban means the tush push will be reevaluated in May. For Annenberg Media, I'm Nicholas Corral.
The Nintendo Switch 2 was recently announced alongside new exclusive titles including a new Mario Kart game, a new Donkey Kong game, and a new multiplayer From Software game. The catch, it might cost you an arm and a leg. Lizzie Leoto has the story.
This morning, Nintendo announced more information about the Nintendo Switch 2, set to release on June 5th. The Switch 2 is a long-awaited reimagination of the original handheld gaming device, which released in 2017 and has been one of Nintendo's best-selling consoles. In this morning's hour-long Nintendo Direct, the name for usual Nintendo video announcements, the Switch 2 team unveiled the console's added features, including Game Share, which allows users to play together locally on multiple systems, voice chat, more internal storage, and higher resolution. They also announced new Switch 2 exclusive installments to the Mario Kart and Donkey Kong franchises.
A brand new entry in the Mario Kart series is launching exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2 system.
Sammy Bovitz, a student journalist from Annenberg Media's Gaming and Esports desk, offered key insight into what this release means to the gaming industry and Switch lovers.
And so not only is it kind of the wait to a long wait, they've been teasing the system since 2023, but it's also the successor, the follow-up, the long-awaited sequel to one of the biggest things video games has ever kind of seen.
However, with the console retailing at nearly $500 and games costing about $70 to $80 each, many Switch fans are disappointed with Nintendo.
Main two reactions that I've been hearing today about the Switch 2, talking to everybody, reading everything, is two things. One, that price is scary and absurd and a lot. And two, I'm going to open my wallet anyway.
And he's clearly not wrong. Roy Gatz, a USC student and loyal Switch user, could hardly contain his excitement for the Switch 2, despite the high price point.
I was literally talking to my brother this morning about it, and we were like, unfortunately, we will pay whatever they tell us.
Gatz, like many longtime Switch users, can remember when they first bought the original console.
I bought it at launch. I was a 8th grader, and I was very excited. And I've played the Switch for many, many years. I've played many games on it.
Bovitz says that Nintendo relies on brand recognition to continue pulling in customers.
All of these games, all this legacy definitely drives nostalgia. Not just nostalgia for the old NES games, but new games. So yes, Nintendo is definitely a nostalgic brand. They're an iconic brand. They're a very family-friendly, accessible brand. And they'll always like to make sure that you are familiar and comfortable.
Non-gamers, on the other hand, can't fathom that anyone would pay for the new Switch. JD Black, a student and self-proclaimed non-gamer, seemed concerned that Nintendo is upcharging by $150.
Does the new Switch give you like free food and stuff? Like what makes it so expensive?
Despite these concerns, Bovitz assured that the new features, although sounding unsophisticated to those unfamiliar with gaming tech, shouldn't be discounted, and they absolutely call for the higher price point.
Nintendo has had trouble kind of keeping up with the rest of the industry and has oftentimes intentionally stayed a little bit behind to make their consoles a little bit cheaper, a little bit more accessible, and to just focus on the games. And so Nintendo, the Switch, was a very powerful, very cool console, but it had technology that was more on par with 2010 than 2020. So the Switch 2 is kind of Nintendo's attempt to bring the console right in line with current conventions.
Along with the release of the Switch 2, Nintendo is day one introducing the newest edition of its most prized game, Mario Kart, titled Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World will include a, quote, open world racing experience, end quote, that will allow users to race each other between interconnected tracks and worlds, as opposed to the old design, which limited users to racing just a single track at a time. This design is revolutionary for Mario Kart, which was released over 30 years ago and has had minimal changes in the 16 editions released since. This is noteworthy. Bovitz says,
Mario Kart will probably set the standard for how multiplayer games are designed and released over the course of the next few years.
Gatz, the avid Switch user, like many Switch users, is particularly drawn to the new console just to play Mario Kart World. When asked if he was excited, he wholeheartedly said,
I am. I really am.
Nintendo is bringing a lot to the table, and they're expecting users to pay for it. Bovitz and Gatz both agreed that being a Nintendo user is expensive, but for now, they're willing to keep paying the price for the games they love. As to whether the Switch 2 will turn out to be a smash success, we'll have to wait until June to find out. For now, Nintendo loyalists are waiting in anticipation. For Annenberg Media, I'm Lizzie Liato.
Last night, actor Val Kilmer died from pneumonia at the age of 65. Kilmer previously battled throat cancer, but had been cancer-free for several years. So on this episode of Film Frequency, we're looking back at his life and his career.
You've chosen the wrong messenger. How can I even speak to these people? Who made man's mouth? Who made the deaf, the mute, the seeing, or the blind? Did not I? Now go!
So, do you know about the Prince of Egypt?
I actually do not. I feel like we've established I don't know about film, so I'd love to hear about it.
So, The Prince of Egypt is a movie that I grew up on. It's an animated kind of rendition of the story of Moses in the Bible. And I don't think there's a lot of movies that adapt stories from the Bible, but I don't think any of them have ever come close to this. And many people don't know that Val Kilmer actually voiced Moses opposite Ralph Fiennes as Ramses. And it's also one of the few 2D animated movies made by DreamWorks. In fact, the joke was that whenever an animator screwed up on The Prince of Egypt, they'd be sent to Shrek. And in the process, I think they came up with 2 masterpieces. But I think it is because of Kilmer and also his singing voice, because he didn't do much of the singing, Amik Byram, that I was able to have at least some sort of face to attach to Moses whenever I was reading the Bible during like Sunday services. So it's definitely like huge childhood memory for me, but definitely it's like I think it's one of the most gorgeously animated movies and one of the craziest movies to show a kid as well.
Interesting. I'll have to give it a watch.
Yeah, but probably something that you're slightly more familiar with.
I see without seeing. To me, darkness is as clear as daylight. What am I?
Please! You're as blind as a bat!
Exactly.
He also played Batman. Which Batman movies have you seen?
So I fear none of them, but maybe I should watch them.
Yeah, so in looking at like the history of Batman on movies, kind of the first like quote unquote modern version was the Michael Keaton version back in 1989 and 1992. But funny enough, right after those movies were like really dark, gloomy, brutal, and it kind of set the tone for the character for many years in like animation and things like that. But immediately following after Batman Returns, they were like, why don't we just go the complete opposite direction and make these the goofiest movies of all time? But the funny thing is that they recast Michael Keaton with Val Kilmer in the role in Batman Forever in 1995, facing off against Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. People really hated this movie when it came out because it very much swung the opposite way from previously the more mature and kind of dark version.
Do you hate it or do you like it?
See, that's the thing. I think I grew up like being told that I needed to hate this movie. But I think over time, me and I think a lot of people have sort of reclaimed it and really enjoy it for what it is and understanding this is they knew what they wanted to do and they kind of succeeded in that. It might not be for everybody, but I think the one thing that people think is that Val Kilmer is a really good Batman. He plays the entire movie straight with all the chaos that's happening in it and the like really goofy antics that Jim Carrey's up to, but he just plays it completely straight and I think it really works.
Nice. Maybe I'll watch that one too.
On the street, have no attachments, allow nothing to be in your life that you cannot walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you spot the heat around the corner. Remember that?
For me, the sun rises and sets with her, man.
And funny enough, in the same year, in 1995, he was in Batman Forever, and he also was in a movie called Heat, which is very much not Batman Forever. Directed by Michael Mann, this is a crime drama, mostly focusing Al Pacino as an unhinged detective and Robert De Niro as a thief who really just wants to be loved. And Kilmer plays Robert De Niro's right-hand man, and I feel like he's sort of the heart of this movie as sort of the third protagonist in this. It's a very long crime thriller, but it really is just about the idea of love. And Kilmer's character has his own subplot that he's struggling between the life of being a criminal, being a thief, and also his attachments, being his wife. And then it adds a layer of tenderness to, I think, an otherwise very gruff and very angry movie. It's considered like a modern masterpiece, and at least for me, I really think so.
Mm-hmm. So humanizing a criminal.
Yeah, it's pretty profound stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think like it's almost 3 hours long, and then for like a good chunk of it, you're gonna be like, what is happening? I don't know if I enjoy this. And for me, once like the last 30 minutes hit, and you're like, I think this is the greatest movie of all time.
Interesting. So it's a slow burn.
You figured it out yet?
What's that?
Who's the best pilot?
One last thing. Who's the better pilot?
And of course, there are the movies that both of us have indeed watched, which is both Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick.
Yes, I did see those both, and I really liked both of them.
Yeah, Kilmer is best known for his role as Iceman. He's this rival turned wingman to Tom Cruise's Maverick. And I think half of why this movie does work is Val Kilmer, especially the first one, which to me, I felt like it didn't really have a story, in my opinion. I don't know what you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a super fun and like entertaining movie to watch. Like so much going on.
Yeah, I think people just mainly watched it for Tom Cruise and for Val Kilmer.
And I know Tom Cruise does all of his stunts, so.
Yeah, it's really well done because I think Kilmer adds a lot of edge to Tom Cruise's charm, and it's pretty fitting that I think his last on-screen appearance is in Top Gun Maverick, where it's a literal send-off in that movie where Iceman kind of gives Maverick some final words of advice when he's struggling kind of to teach a new team of recruits. That movie made me very emotional.
Yeah, I do remember crying during that movie, so I agree.
Yeah, and we can go on and on. There's Tombstone, The Doors, and so much more, and much more Val Kilmer. And this is really just a segment to kind of honor his legacy and to know there's many, many movies out there to watch more Val Kilmer, even though he is gone.
Yes, seems like I need to get on it.
Thank you, Val Kilmer. Love you.
And that's all the time we have today on From Where We Are. Sam Bittman, Ethan Huang, and Enzo Luna produced today's show. We had help from Natalia Desan.
Our audio coaches are Jamila Hammond and Leslie Bearstein Rojas. Our board operator is Sam Bittman. Our livestream manager is Kayla Shu. And Derek Renfro composed our theme music.
Catch us live on YouTube at Annenberg Radio News, Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Subscribe to From Where We Are, wherever you're listening right now. Finally, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Annenberg Radio. I'm Sophia Ketterer.
And I'm Ethan Huang. From all of us at Annenberg Radio, wherever you are, we hope to join us again for
From Where We Are.
So I heard that today is National Walking Day. How many steps did you walk today?
I am currently at like 11,000-ish. What about you? Did you reach your 10,000 for the day?
No, because I've been stuck in here the entire day, so I'm only about half of that.
Okay,
so
there's still time. You can just go outside and start walking laps.